You spent $80 and you walked away feeling proud because you saved $40. That is insane. It is also completely normal. And by the end of this video, you're going to know exactly why your brain does it. Because there are 3 specific traps. There's one number that makes the whole thing almost impossible to resist. And I'm going to hand you a 4-step filter that shuts it down for good. This is not stop shopping advice. I'm not anti-fun. I'm not here to pretend every discount is a scam. I'm here to explain why discounts, countdowns, crossed out prices, BOGO deals, and free shipping thresholds can make you spend more money while you feel like the most responsible adult in the room. So let's get into trap number 1. Trap 1 starts with a phrase that sounds boring but explains almost everything. Transaction utility. Human translation. Your brain doesn't just react to what something costs, it also reacts to how good the deal feels. And that is where it all goes wrong. Because the second the deal becomes the exciting part, the actual money leaving your account fades into the background. That's the trap I'm calling the transaction utility trap. Not because discounts are fake, because the feeling of getting a bargain starts doing the emotional work that should belong to the purchase itself. Here's the clean version. A jacket is $100. Now it's $60. Your bank account says you spent $60. Your brain says, I beat the system by $40. Those are not the same story. And the gap between those two stories is where a shocking amount of pointless spending lives. Because the moment a purchase feels like a victory, the spending stops feeling like a cost. This is why sales get dangerous so fast. You don't need one giant reckless buy, you just need a pile of medium stupid little wins. The backup charger, the extra organizer, the might as well socks, the second shampoo because it was buy one get one, the random kitchen gadget you weren't looking for until it had a bright red badge next to it. You didn't wake up planning to spend more. The sale wrote new logic for you, and it sounds like this. I'm already saving. It's cheaper now. I'll need it eventually. It'd be dumb not to. That last one is the killer. Because once buying feels smart, not buying starts to feel dumb. But that's only half of it. Because a sale doesn't just change how good the deal feels, it quietly changes what your brain is even comparing against. And that's trap 2, which is sneakier. Normally, skipping an item is neutral. You see it, you don't buy it, life continues. Add a discount, and suddenly, skipping feels like losing. Not losing the item, losing the deal. And your brain hates that. Here's the mechanism, and it has a name behavioral economists use: anchoring. A sale doesn't just change the number, it changes the reference point. Now your brain isn't comparing $60 to your actual budget, it's comparing 60 to the crossed out 100. That old price becomes the main character. Your real bank balance? Supporting actor. That's the anchor illusion. The crossed out price becomes more emotionally vivid than the money actually leaving your account. And once that happens, the purchase feels safer than it is. Because you're no longer asking, do I want this enough to spend $60? You're asking, do I want to miss out on saving $40? That's a much worse question. It's a question engineered to get a yes. Now here's where it gets aggressive. Because everything I just described gets 10 times stronger the second a clock shows up on the screen. Trap 3 is the one that gets even careful budget tracking people. Watch. Limited time offer. Ends tonight. Only 3 left. Lightning deal. Card expires soon. Now the retailer isn't just offering you a lower price, it's turning your inaction into a possible loss. And humans are famously weird about losses. This is loss aversion. Losing feels worse than an equal-sized gain feels good. So a time sale builds a genuinely stupid emotional equation in your head. If I don't buy this $60 thing, I'm losing $40. No, you're not. You're keeping $60. But that's not what it feels like in the moment. That's why countdown sales are so good at bypassing calm thinking. They don't just create urgency, they create imagined regret ahead of time. You're not buying the item, you're buying relief from the fear that future you will be annoyed. That's the loss aversion countdown. The discount acts like a disappearing opportunity, and your brain would rather spend money than feel like it missed out. And if that sounds dramatic, look at what just happened. Prime Day 2026 ran June 23rd through the 26th, 4 days, dozens of categories, deal drops stacked on deal drops. And US online spending across all retailers hit about $26.4 billion billion during that window, according to Adobe, up more than 9% from last year. Here's the part that matters. Amazon leaned hard into groceries and everyday essentials this time, not just gadgets. Paper towels, snacks, refills, pantry backups, storage bins, detergent, the second version of something you already own because it was basically free. That's how a sale stops being an event and becomes a habit. Not one dramatic cart, lots of tiny decisions that all feel weirdly justified. And speaking of one tiny decision, remember that one number I promised you at the start? Here it is. $35. That's the number, because free shipping thresholds are the most quietly effective trick in the entire playbook. You're at $31. Free shipping kicks in at $35. So your brain goes, I'd rather add a $7 thing than pay $6 for shipping. Read that again. You spent $7 to avoid spending $6, but it didn't feel that way because shipping feels like a pure loss and the bonus item feels like value. That's how the word free melts people's brains. Not because you can't do math, because the two categories feel emotionally different. One feels like money wasted. The other feels like money converted into something. And sometimes the extra item is genuinely useful, but a huge amount of sale behavior lives in the technically useful zone. Not life-changing useful, just useful enough to end the internal argument. Same thing with BOGO. If you plan to buy two anyway, great. If you plan to buy one and the second one only exists because the offer made it feel stupid not to, that's not savings, that's inventory. Quick gut check while we're here. What's your worst one? The free shipping filler? The BOGO second? The clearance aisle may as well? Hold that thought because I want it in the comments at the end. Here's the part nobody likes admitting. A lot of fake savings just turn into clutter. Duplicate skincare, extra snacks, backup chargers, closet stuff, pantry stuff, drawer stuff. You didn't save. You converted money into future decisions. And future decisions are almost always annoying. The obvious damage is financial. The less obvious damage is mental. Because when you keep overspending during deals, your statement later feels confusing. You think, but I was being careful. Careful isn't the same as resistant. You were resisting full price. You weren't necessarily resisting the purchase. And that distinction is exactly why smart people still get trapped. This isn't a willpower issue in the cartoon sense. It's a decision environment issue. The environment changed the comparison, changed the emotion, changed the urgency, and changed what counted as a win. So if you want a real fix, and you don't have to become a monk to use it, here's the 4-step filter I promised. This is the part to screenshot. Step 1. Translate the discount into actual cash. Not 40% off. What are you spending? Total. Out the door. Right now. If the cart total makes you wince, good. That means reality walked back into the room. Step 2. Kill the anchor. Ignore the crossed out price and ask, if there were no sale banner here, would I want this at this price? Not the fantasy price, not the original price, this one. Step 3. Separate planned demand from sale created demand. Was it already on your list? Already budgeted? You'd have bought it anyway? Cool. That might be real savings. Did it enter your life because a timer, a badge, or a percentage made it feel exciting? Then the sale created the purchase. And that's exactly the stuff that blows up your budget in small, forgettable ways. Step 4. Add one speed bump. 1. Wishlist it. Sleep on it. Close the tab. Compare the unit price. Set a 24-hour rule on anything unplanned. You just need enough friction for your brain to stop confusing stimulation with value, because that's the whole game. Sales are spectacular at making stimulation feel like intelligence. The rush, the timer, the little red number, the crossed out price, the feeling that you spotted something, it all builds this fog where spending feels responsible, right up until the month ends and all your tiny victories collapse into one very normal question. Why did I spend so much? Sometimes the answer isn't that you love buying things. Sometimes it's that your brain kept treating the deal like income. It wasn't income, it was marketing. A real discount on a planned purchase saves you money. A sale-created purchase is not savings. It's just a purchase wearing a superhero cape. So next time something is 40% off, don't ask whether the deal is good. Ask whether you'd care if the deal didn't exist. That one question will save you more money than the sale ever will. Now, I want your worst one in the comments. Free shipping filler, BOGO second, clearance aisle, Prime Day add-on, the I may as well item, drop it. I read these, and the best ones go in the next video. And here's where you go next. During that same Prime Day, Buy Now, Pay Later hit about $2.1 billion in orders. Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm, and the psychology behind that is even nastier than anything I showed you today. It's the trap that makes a $60 thing feel free. I broke it down completely in the video on screen right now. Go watch it, your wallet will thank you.